Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. Am I clear? Okay, great. Um, when an 8-year-old who was born in a lower middle class family to a family of engineers and botanists suddenly announced that he wants to be a fashion designer, it caused a huge stir in the Amit Aggarwal family. I think as a child, I excelled at academics. I did brilliantly well in my studies. I was always a topper when it came to maths and science. And back in the 80s, the so-called bread earner of the family either had to choose to be a doctor or an engineer, which were the two choices that my family had always planned for me. But little did they know that it wasn't the 8-year-old who had a whim, but actually the soul of a creator that had taken multiple forms, multiple shapes and sizes before it found the body that I currently own. And it had always been of a creator. And that's probably where my journey did not start. It just was beginning to multifold into multiple areas that I was going to develop into my own life. Throughout my growing years, I think the beauty of geometry, be it how lines would intersect and create patterns, formed effortless connections with how I would see the natural world growing around me. My diagrams for botany were as exciting as my Pythagoras theorem. And I think slowly the amalgamation of two kind of led me to become the person that I am. And little did I know that 20 years down the line, there would be a breaking point in my life where I was standing against this pool of jellyfish. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful, glowing in all its glory, each tentacle coming to light, like brilliant particles of fluid metal floating in viscose liquid, connected me immediately to that moment where I used to go to my father's engineering factory where I used to see metal being welded, sparks flying, metal scraps flying all over the floor. And in that moment, I think my life came to a complete circle. I think I found innumerable connections between the natural world and the material world. And there became the journey of Amit Aggarwal, where we connect biomimicry as effortlessly as we structure things with scrap materials, be it industrial waste, be it unusual materials like rubber cord, leather cord, which are discarded, and create structures that actually emulate the natural world around me. So a little bit of a glimpse into what we do. So I think that will give you a parallel. Phase 2 of my journey. I had embarked on the path of my life, but there were other hurdles that were on my way. I left a very high-paying job on a whim because the desire within me was burning brighter than any beacon of hope that I would know of. With whatever little savings I had, I put together a very small so-called unit with a single machine and one master to start with. But unfortunately, the so-called skilled karigar or the artisan really was very far away in sight. For multiple days and months after we started the organization, I would have tailors come in to actually do a trial as we do it. And unfortunately, I would have them leaving saying, हम तो कपड़े बनाने आए थे, यहाँ तो plastic stitch होता है. And we are not used to that. So for multiple years, I struggled with the fact that I couldn't probably have the right kind of artisan to build the craft and the vision that I had. And I think one fine morning I had an idea to create a textile, but unfortunately I didn't have the skilled labor to create it for me. And the Jamadarni of the office, I just walked up to her and she was shell-shocked because she hadn't ever imagined that the owner of the office would walk up to her. And I gave her a little textile which was a simple basket weave and asked her to create something that I had in my head. She said, मैं तो ऐसा काम नहीं करती हूँ. I said, but I would like you to try it, just give it a shot. And she said, okay, I could give it a try, but I'm not sure whether I'm meant to do this because for all the years of my life, I was told that this is what you're good at and this is what you're supposed to do. And in that fine moments of creating that textile, I think she imagined a life bigger than hers. And in 2 days, she gathered all the women from we started off in a very small village called Ladosarai. So she gathered all her women folk that were actually either unemployed or just mothers. And we started creating these wonderful textiles out of industrial waste that gave them a language, a hope bigger than their own life. And miraculously, in a matter of 15 days, we had multiple tailors coming in saying that हमें यहाँ job नहीं मिल रही है, can we try here? And I realized that to create the vision that I had, I needed a community of people that believed in a dream that was bigger than what was given to them. And that is how we built a community. 10 years ago, I started with nothing, and within a matter of 10 years, today we stand at a workforce of 500 and more people. Every textile created is radical. Every textile created was with an unskilled technician who was willing to look at life from a larger perspective than what was offered to him or her. And that's how we formed an entire community. I think the entire ideology when you create, when you put together your vision, is not a singular vision. You need to understand that we as humans come together to collaborate, to create, to bring to life something that is beyond our own capacities, and that is what we do at Amit Aggarwal. Stage 3 of my life. How did someone who was looked at from the perspective of an unconventional fashion designer, a non-clothing designer, became what he is today? So I remember back in the day when I started my career with fashion weeks and doing shows, I've had the biggest pleasure of receiving one of the most remarkable reviews every single time. On the runway, the clothes were like magic. They brought in effortless beauty, the shine, everything that one imagines of the magic on the runway. But was it something that a customer was going to buy? It was always shut down. This is made out of plastic. Whether or not it's going to be bought, it's made out of discarded waste. How can couture be made out of something that doesn't have a purpose beyond its usability? And that's the myth that I broke. In the coming 3 years, we had the first bride walk into our studio, which was still very small, and she said, I want to wear something that's different. I don't want to be the run of the mill. And I've heard that this company makes something out of materials that are discarded. And I said, that's true. And that started the legacy that is Amit Aggarwal. Today, I can proudly say that every third wedding in the country, the bride owns something that's made by our studio, completely made out of discarded materials, out of textiles that one never saw the light of the day, and that's where we stand at. How do you actually detach the purpose of something and make it infinite is something that the jellyfish teaches me. 8 years down the line, I was still having a love affair with the form of the jellyfish, but little did I know that there is a species of jellyfish that is eternal. It actually never dies. And incidentally, my name means that too. Amit in Hindi means eternal. And I started working right at the beginning in taking out the concept of time from whatever we created. When you look at the perspective of something with the perspective of time in mind, you kind of attach its relevance to a particular era. But when you detach it from the concept of time, it could be it could be something that will give you a stimulus and energy beyond today, tomorrow, or even yesterday. And that's exactly what we do. What we do at Amit Aggarwal is not for today. It actually dwells into the unknown. It could be an idea from the past looping into the future and vice versa. And that is the concept of infinity, where the application of design just doesn't involve its application to just the human form as clothing, but it goes beyond into art, into every little story that we narrate on the digital medium, talking about the different forms of humanity, the shapes, the structures, the ideologies of human being that become protagonists for everything that we create, and that becomes the amorphous language of the brand. Today, I stand up before you, and on my way, which was a long drive here, I really wanted to ask myself a very simple question: what inspires me? Is it the world that stands up on my face every single day? Is it the world around me? And strangely, every single time in the last 42 years I've asked myself this question, the answer has been no. The world that inspires me, or what inspires me, was given to me right at the time of my birth. The outside world is just a stimulus and an indication to make me drive myself closer to the world that's deep, deep, deep within me. As I stand before you, I would want you to not quieten the little thoughts, the little whims that your 8-year-olds have, or when you had as an 8-year-old, telling yourself that these are the things that I want to do in my life. I don't want you to tell yourself that 2 plus 2 is going to be a 4. If it is a 4, let it be your 4. And today I stand before you to let you know that every little thought, every little dream that you've ever had for yourself is going to be true if you travel deep, deep within you, because everything you ever wanted lies close within you. Thank you.